Let's do it.
We're back for another crypto rundown. Joe, really excited to have you on talking all things crypto and Web3. How you feeling today, man?
Better than the other days. Markets are up, things are moving.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. I'll tell you what, they certainly have been, and this is one of the more energetic, fun times of our rundown shows because Bitcoin's crossed over 90,000. You'll absolutely love to see it. We're closing on 91,000. Good old Ethereum. Lagging behind. It feels like it's going to take forever for Ethereum to get back to 2,000, and Solana right around a buck 45. But all the talk of the town right now is Bitcoin at close to
Woo.
91,000. Joe, how you feeling about us closing in on that or passing that $90,000 mark?
I'm excited for it. I that's the first time since Liberation Day since we scratched that level, and we'll see where it goes from here. Once the tariff stuff gets cleared up, which a lot of people thought would be done by now, I can see us moving a lot higher.
Yeah, certainly. I think this is a key level. A lot of people have called that out. A lot of people that do technical analysis have mentioned that 90,000 is a key technical analysis indicator, and not only it's a psychological metric there to get over that $90,000 mark, but really where it comes into play, it sounds like is like that 94. $95,000 mark, $96,000 mark once we get over there, and then obviously that hurdle over to 100 grand. But a lot of the reasons we're seeing is I think this is the biggest inflows we've seen in Bitcoin since January 31st. We had $381 million in inflows in Bitcoin just yesterday. So that's a huge number, and it doesn't look like it's going to be stopping anytime soon. So that's really exciting stuff. And then I also want to mention that our Bitcoin dominance right now is what is it? 64.23%. Man, that's as high as I can remember it being for quite some time, huh?
Hmm. Wow, I did not know that. Yeah, we were trying to. Well, I was hoping it would be lower, so I can get more before we bow it in because it's catching up. Hopefully to gold. Gold's going crazy right now. And I didn't
Yeah,
notice this. The fear and greed index is at 38. I bet for it to be under 40 on freaking Marriott. Dang it.
you did. You,
I
you
did.
did. Well, 38 still under 40. Who knows how that's gonna go? But you mentioned gold. Bitcoin's starting to act like what we always hoped Bitcoin was gonna be. And we talked a little bit about this on the show last week when I said this is Bitcoin's time to shine. When we're starting to see some of the global assets take a step back. We saw a $1.5 trillion drop in US stocks, but crypto overall gained 60 billion. Majority of that was obviously Bitcoin with what, a 64% dominance, and gold is absolutely crushing it, like you said. I think I saw it all the way up to 3,500, but 3,400. So your grandpa that's been telling you to buy and hodl gold for this entire time, and you've been chirping him about Bitcoin, is probably loving life right now, eh?
Yeah, it's funny. FOMO sets in. I was almost going to buy my wife for Mother's Day some gold.
You were?
I was like thinking about it. I'm like, then I woke up, what am I doing? Then I bought more Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's a good call. But this is what we want to see. We want to see assets like gold do well. We want to see Bitcoin correlate with gold in this fashion, while some of the other major volatile assets, probably get rinsed out. So we're seeing Bitcoin at the end of the day really make some strong moves here, and it's pulling some of the rest of the market up. Personally, we're not going to talk about this too much, but personally, a 64% dominance in Bitcoin, I personally could see it getting even higher over the next few weeks and months as people start flocking into that, considering it more of a safe haven. And we could see some more bleed out or chop in some of the altcoins, some of the meme coins, but there's some that are doing really well as well. And we're going to talk about that. Another reason why Bitcoin continues to do very well is good old MicroStrategy, or they go by strategy right now. Joe, they acquired another 6,556 Bitcoin for over a half a mil or 555 million, a $500 million at 84,000. So they're definitely up on that trade, and they continue to just pound the market with Bitcoin buys.
Love it, love it. And yeah, BlackRock's been buying through all this time also. Charles Schwab announced they're launching Bitcoin spot ETFs, and they have 10 trillion underneath management. There's a lot of money locked up in traditional finance. Like I want to know, I think 401ks are like maybe 40+% of the stock market. And if that ever opens up, when that opens up to Bitcoin, it's going to be like a tsunami.
Yeah, we talked about that last week, why we think that's a big bullish indicator and signal for Bitcoin in the long term. But it's starting to act the way we want it to act. People are starting to flock to it as a safer asset in comparison to even some major stocks out there. And we did have some big news out here in the macro world. We have a new SEC chairman. Paul Akins is going to be sworn in today. That's going to be very interesting. He was nominated by Trump on January the 20th to basically become, the chairman of the SEC, or the Securities and Exchange Commission, for anybody wondering. And that's bullish news as well. He's definitely walking into a lot of work on his desk. I think there's 72, I read or I heard today, open ETF applications. So people want ETFs. There's still a demand out there. A lot of these major asset firms are filing from ETFs. So when good old Paul gets to the desk after his nomination, he's going to be hard at work right away.
Yeah, excited for that Pengu NFT ETF to go live. Also interesting, I saw some states are still or one state in particular, Oregon, calling them out, is still suing Coinbase. I like, and then a lot of people are saying this is a big waste of taxpayer money, and I agree. Like, I'm just very curious how states operate, differently than the SEC. So hopefully the SEC comes in and have some oversight.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that. That's something I need to read up on. But with all the rest of this news out there, we're seeing a bigger integration here with Web 2 traditional finance and Web 3 decentralized banking, you could call it at the end of the day. And we have Circle and Coinbase are reportedly eyeing US banking licenses. So we're just seeing a bigger integration here with this traditional finance and Web3, Coinbase, Circle. It's not a matter of if this is ever going to integrate and happen. It's really a matter of when it's going to happen. And personally, you and I are both bullish on it. We're placing our bets. This is going to be bullish for the entire crypto market, especially Bitcoin, probably a ton of altcoins. Stable coins will probably go wild. It's just a really exciting time to be in the industry.
Yeah, imagine safer too. Like the FTX fiasco, they're crypto based, but if everything was on chain, we can very easily see their money moving around with or without approvals, right? So I'd like to say it's safer overall for everyone in the industry, banking specifically.
Yeah, you nailed it. I mean, utilizing blockchain technology, we talk about it all the time. If you don't love NFTs, if you don't like trading, just the underlying blockchain is such a key factor to a lot of different industries, how it's get disrupted. And that's why banks, I believe, have been kind of scared of cryptocurrency for a long term, because it's an open source ledger that, you can't manipulate by any means. Not saying that they're doing that, but it's a very interesting time, and it's a matter of if not when. And it's great to see Coinbase and Circle making these moves to get U.S. banking licenses.
Yeah, big stuff happening. All right, let's see what's going on in I wouldn't say the alt assets of the world, but in a DeFi sector of the world. I'm not going to go over like the chain aspect of what's TBL and whatnot. We're going to go over through some more fun stuff. So only one big news that popped up for me and my circle was just Bitcoin. It's been around for a while, but it's really taking some light in the abstract world. It's the DeFi Ponzi that everyone has piled in on. And I got half a Bitcoin. I'm about to claim mine, but they got me because, they were like, oh, you can start a mining rig here, which is not real mining, by the way. It's just all online in a simulator. That's what it is. So it's not eating up energy or anything. And you'll get a abstract farming badge. So I got that badge, and a lot of people are happy about it and some people are not. It was funny because, a lot of DeFi specific folks in the Web3 world were pining for Abstract to do something DeFi related. And they did something DeFi related. They're like, no, we don't like this. And well, who knows who's saying that? But in the world of DeFi, there's a lot of things happening just for the sake of it to happen, like no real intrinsic value there. And I'll let you chime in a second. But people has really written about Abstract in a different way, right? Like it's an emerging L2 with real revenue. Basically, they're not trying to play a lot of games that don't really have end value. And not talking bad about any other DeFi protocol because I'm not the expert there. But being consumer centric person that I am, I find this a little bit more well, interesting in my side of the world. So having the abstract do some DeFi stuff, being open to it is really cool to see.
Yeah, it's great. I remember actually sharing this with you the day it launched that Bitcoin, and you wrote back to me. I sent it to you in Slack, and you wrote back to me like, "Oh yeah, it's Abstract's new Ponzi." And I fired up some miners, and I actually was looking. You can like upgrade your miners. I was looking to upgrade the miners. Then I should have just bought the coin at the end of the day. But it wasn't. The market was such trash, and this is only like a week or two ago. It was tough to get behind any new project, but in retrospect, we should have piled in on Bitcoin whenever it first released when we shared that because I didn't think it was going to catch as much steam as it did. But it's to show you that people are still interested in gaming, in Ponzi's, in the trenches. There's still a world here where there's people just dying to get into the next I guess Ponzi or next game or whatever you want to call it and really push it to the top. But again, we had a pretty big flush out over the past few months. Now things are really starting to kind of rise to the top here.
Yeah, my DeFi friends have really quieted down this last few weeks. It might be macro, but it's been like crickets in there. So DeFi stole the spotlight, I would say, for the vast majority of crypto time that we've been around since 2017, probably. But really, where the puck has moved is over into the AI sector of the world. And we always talk about this. And that's rumbling now. Things have moved up 30-40% significantly since last week. Meebits, for those of you who don't know, Meebits got divested out of Larva Labs, right? Yuga Labs, right? It went to another company. So they're going to do some interesting thing. And one of the first moves that they've done is to partner with Think Agents to launch AI agents. Now, we talked about this extensively here that all projects, coins, banking even will have AI agents, right? Everyone knows that. But to see it actually happen real time and what's happening within the world of crypto is very interesting to see. So we don't know too much details about this yet, besides being an IP play. But one thing that is, well, by the time you're watching this, it'll be over, is Think Agent, which Meebits has partnered up with, is launching a NFT that will come with, I think, 12,000 Think tokens. So alongside AI agents, the bundling of NFTs and we can call it meme coins, content coins, whatever. We'll go into that later. Is there? Everyone's coming out with AI agent and coins, and so with this mint, I $458 as of today's writing, is going to launch. So we'll see how that does. I didn't even know it was correlated. We were talking about it before we jumped onto this recording. That what's this thing? What's this thing agent being launched on Magic Eden? But turns out they're big partners with Meebit. So yeah, with thoughts on that because that's interesting news.
Yeah, I think you summed it up well, and we're seeing a lot of NFT projects just integrate AI in some form or fashion. Some of them are going to do really well, and it's going to stick, and they're going to have innovative products, and it's going to make their collection and all their OG holders absolutely explode. Other ones are just going to slap AI on to try to kind of ride the coattails, and it's going to fail epically. So it's always important to do your own research. But in terms of Meebits and Sergito buying that collection and trying to do new and innovative things, I'm all about it. That's an OG ETH collection. I just brought it up here. Its floor's down a little bit, but it's trading right around a zero point 0.6 ETH floor. Nothing terrible since the acquisition. I've always liked Meebits. It's nostalgic timing for me. I minted it back in the day. I've watched it rise and fall pretty heavily. So I'm always rooting for those OG projects to do well, and it's great to see them integrate AI in some form or fashion.
Absolutely. Another thing popping up over in the AI world is a say it and it's done AI agent. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't seen this yet. You might have seen it because you follow the sector a little bit closer. Basically, you talk into Jarvis, still in beta, by the way, closed beta, by the way, but they have working demos and it does all the work cross apps, cross system, cross blockchains. You stay hands free. This has become a bigger and bigger deal over here in the Bay Area where people just talk to AI versus typing. And I'm seeing it more and more, whether it be on live streams or whatnot. I'm starting to utilize it myself. So yeah, I'm getting pretty lazy. I don't want to type in AI anymore. I just want to talk into it. But this was an interesting call by us because it's on the Binance Smart Chain. They have incubators. They have a lot of money. They're the third largest DeFi TVL out there. behind Ethereum and Solana. And it's coiling up. It's looking pretty good. We called this
Yeah.
at around four, under $4 million. And if AI comes back, well, not if, AI is coming back right now in terms of Web3, and the markets are coming back a little bit, I can see this popping up.
Yeah, Binance is starting to embrace AI over the past few weeks or past couple months quite a bit. We're seeing a lot of rumblings out there where they see some of these AI tokens and what people are building to really catch steam.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting my eyes back on the AI. Before I was eyeing, a lot of different things during this quiet period, but things are popping off, and that's why I'm excited. We have a different token that's going to pop off on Binance that we're going to talk about with our private community. Hopefully, it's going to have a lot of legs. So if you guys want in on that, we would love to chat with you about that. Let's move on over to the biggest news in the meme coin world. There's a lot of news in the meme
Biggest
coin
news in the
world.
meme coin world, it's the biggest news in all of crypto.
Yeah, okay, so this is pretty big because I love Bonk. Fartcoin topples Bonk. So Fartcoin is over $1 billion and it's just moved massively against a lot of different assets, while things weren't doing well. Fartcoin's risen to the top. Brian, this is your favorite coin. You sold some Magic Eden airdrop for this recently. Tell us about this.
Yeah, I've been very vocal about it with our private community where we talk about a lot of AI opportunities, a lot of meme coin opportunities. And there are some daily runners you can get in, but they get washed out pretty quickly. And then there's this whole group of like OG meme coins, AI coins that I see a path to succeed. And Farcoin checks the box on so many different levels. And I've been bullish on some other coins in the past that haven't worked out very well. But I'm every day. The time that Farcoin really started to open my eyes is when it got all the way down to like 230 million, Joe. The whole market was getting killed. We were scared of a war, World War III. We were scared of all the tariffs. And then all of a sudden, it just started to slowly grind back up on some of the worst crypto and stock market days we've seen. We've talked about it on the show. So it just showed remarkable strength. It found this like bottom of all bottoms, and it hasn't stopped. Now I'm starting to be like, it could definitely get under $1 billion again. We could have a big retracement, but I don't think Bitcoin without Bitcoin correcting quite a bit back to close to 70s or like low 80s, I foresee like Farcoin moving pretty strong with the Bitcoin world. So if someone's trying to get into the meme coin game and catch a runner, Farcoin looks like a really great opportunity in my eyes. There's a lot of reasons why I don't see Farcoin why it will not flip Trump. Trump's right at 1.7 billion. And that's, I mean, Trump could come out with that monopoly game and start to use Trump as currency. So who the heck knows? But Farcoin feels like it could easily flip Trump. Then you got to look at like Pepe. Pepe's such an OG popular meme, but it could eventually flip Pepe as well. And then there's like the OG ones like Doge and Sheep. Who the heck is buying Sheep? It still goes up. I don't even know what it's at, but I feel like Farcoin could steal some market share from some of these major meme coins at the end of the day. And that's a very long-winded answer why I'm so bullish on it. I think might have lost your audio here, Joe.
Yeah,
Uh,
why did my microphone auto mute itself? Dang it.
AI. You said something AI didn't like it, so it muted you.
God, that's true. What I was saying was that another thing you noted was Fartcoin's not on any major exchanges yet. So you see it comparative to Pepe, where Pepe shot to 7 billion. Fartcoin could do the same if potentially it gets listed on Gemini and or Coinbase and or other exchanges. So looks like Bonk did retake that title, but to your point, 1 billion was the bottom of the barrel of the top meme coins back when Bitcoin was above $100,000. So seeing it here now is very resilient, very, very, interesting to see that move, which is great. So I could definitely see it moving up to the Pepe spot of 7 billion in a short time. Another interesting fact you brought up is Trump meme coin, which has risen. I did not think this would happen with a 40 million token unlock. I'm sorry, 40 million token unlock, which was around 300 billion, I'm sorry, $300 million in terms of market value. So either they didn't dump or people like Trump. It's gone up surprisingly. So the Trump coin is showing some strength, maybe to the monopoly game, like you said. But Brian, you like calling bottoms, and you've done that quite a bit here. You even called the bottom on Pengu. I believe right around 4 cents here, and has since moved up 50%. So that would have been probably your biggest win of this for beginning of 2025. And I think you got in on some, right?
I did not enough, because I'm a big scaredy cat about what was going on with the market and some of the, when there was a lot of volatility. But I did message you. I was like, man, I love Pengu right about here. The two that I love the most is Pengu and Farcoin, and still free alpha for anybody. It's you don't have to be a genius to call these, but Pengu and Farcoin feel like two paths where they can do very, very big things in an upcoming run. And we're starting to see that traction. Bitcoin's up over 90,000. People are starting to feel alive again. We got guys like Thread Guy showing back up on X talking about the trenches. So it's starting to heat up a little bit. I think we're far away where we were in January when things were just absolutely ridiculous. Like VVV came out and was like $100 million market cap in like an hour. A lot of these different runners, but we're definitely seeing some of these OG coins that have really established communities start to take off as we move up in Bitcoin. And Farcoin and Pengu are really number one, number two in no particular order for me.
Yeah, I'm just gonna take a wild stab or guess or prediction here. Base has been headlines this last week. I don't think we talked about this last rundown because it happened afterwards. They launched something they call content tokens, content coins. First one is called Basis for Everyone, and then they did another one off an event. People thought this was a rug pull, even though it was an official launch with their partners Zora, which we'll talk more about in a second. And Jesse Pollock, a notable developer on Base, if not the lead one, talked about it versus meme coin. So, utility tokens, content coins. Luca calls it social coins. Everyone has a different branding, but one thing's for sure is that I think this next cycle it will be a lot of these types of tokens out there, right? These utility type meme coins, whatever you name them. I want to know your thoughts on it in a second, but could those be the runners this next cycle up, or is the fart coin still going to be the easiest to digest and run up?
I'm not sure. I think we're going to see a lot of new metas come out with this next run up and metas that we're not even aware exist right now. I think Farcoin's going to have a place very similar to what Pepe did. Pepe still continued to increase with any new meta that came out. These content coins versus meme coins, that whole basis for everyone was a complete debacle. Uh, some people did well, some people lost some money. But at the end of the day, it does show me that Base is trying to do some new things. So that's very encouraging. Jesse's been very vocal about, tokenizing everything pretty much content wise and utilize and there's some things he's mentioned out there that I haven't even like been able to like really fully grasp because he really means like tokenizing everything and utilizing these things in ways I couldn't even dream. Where Farcoin at the end of the day, the guy I lift with or the guys I play golf with, they want a coin to buy. That's not Bitcoin. That's not like an aerodrome, which are just solid buys at the end of the day. I tell them Farcoin and they go out and buy. It's a true meme coin, a true community coin. So where I'm going with this is I think there's going to be a lot of new metas that come out of this. And I wouldn't be surprised if like content creation, content coins aren't a next step. You muted yourself again.
Why is it automatically doing that? What
I
is happening,
I
AI?
I think you grabbed the microphone that time. You pawed it a little bit. I saw you
Okay.
grab it and I was like, uh-oh.
Uh-oh, uh-oh. Okay, well, I was just gonna mention that you're gonna mention a few coins coming up, but to wrap up meme coins, this is not a meme coin. This could be a content coin or a social coin, whatever it is. Zora, which is the platform that base launch a lot of their content coins off of, is having their own TGE in one day. Tomorrow they're
Yeah.
launching a TGE. So if you've ever interacted with them for the last 5 years, here is a public announcement for you to get some free money. I know I did. Brian, you say you don't know if you did. I'm sure you did if you've been in the NFT world. So that is going to wrap up the meme coin section. But before I kick it over, one last thing is about OpenSea. Um, this is a very interesting swapping feature that just is announced. Something I thought Magic Eden would have to lead on, but surprisingly they don't, which is they allow you to mint with different types of currency. So if you're minting a Ethereum NFT, but you don't have Ethereum, but you have Bitcoin, you could just click the mint button. It does it on the back end, but it seems so silly and why doesn't Magic Eden have it? Magic Eden does have it. You can swap in their wallet, but it's just an extra barrier, an extra step. So I'm shocked to say this. OpenSea took the lead, got one jab in this 10 round fight. So yeah, it's not a knockout, but interesting things happening as they're doing their token launch. And yeah, I'm kicking it over you to Brian to talk more about NFTs.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about NFTs. But on that OpenSea note, OpenSea's been doing some big things recently. They're a few years too late, but better late than never. And I was just actually because this week within our private community, I'm going to walk them through a little bit about OpenSea V2. You've talked about the shipments, but now you can do these cross-chain swaps. You can do swaps from Solana. We talked about that last week on the Rundown show, and it's surprisingly exceptional how smooth it is. But OpenSea was always known as an OpenSea as an NFT platform, and they've wanted to really branch out. And same with Magic Eden, especially with their acquisition of Slingshot. We're going to see a lot of big different movers here. But just taking a look at the NFT market, let's just look at all chains here. You can see that there's some movement here. We got Pudgy Penguins up a little bit to 10 ETH. Joe, our window's closing every single day for you to buy a Pudgy Penguin
It's
on this
over.
show here. I know. CryptoPunks, with ETH just absolutely getting demolished against Bitcoin right now, one CryptoPunk to one Bitcoin was such a popular like flippening. And then when it happened, people were like, it's never going to go back down. Now I think if you do the quick math, like 55 Ethereum probably equal one Bitcoin. So
Mm,
CryptoPunks are still under that buy level. Man, I
nice.
let's just look at them real quick. See, the floors are trash. The floors aren't really good. You know that you really have to get into the thick of it, like into the 60 ETH to really start getting some good traits at the end of the day. But it's such an OG collection. It's hard not to love them. And just kind of
We're
looking
getting one.
through,
We're gonna
yeah,
get one this year.
I think I'm
This
gonna
year.
have to. These the Miladies on Barachain, these are up 30%. I don't know how much you've been following these. These are basically Miladies on Barachain. An absolute ridiculous collection, but up 30% to 109 Bara from its recent mint. So there's certainly still some movers out there. Nothing absolutely popping off to me in the whole NFT world other than like some smaller mints or smaller collections that have caught my eye. How are you feeling about the NFT market overall?
Yeah, I think it has some life, especially in the abstract ecosystem, because they're actually being utilized with on-chain games. And check out our podcast. We had a very thoughtful conversation with Van Eck about abstract and how there's so many eyeballs, like six figures in terms of wallet integrations. That's like if you launch a company and 100,000 people integrate immediately, that's amazing, especially if there's revenue there, and there is revenue. I'm spending I spent $24 on Bitcoin. I have no idea what I was mining doing. So yeah, I think NFT projects are fun and will offer value. A shout out to Bearish, they're doing AI boot camps. They just offered me a pre-sale for Sugartown. So if you guys don't know Sugartown, they are Zynga. They own all the IP games of Zynga, Candy Crush, Words with Friends, all that stuff. They are like top of the game, and they're going all in on Web3 gaming. So and they're launching an NFT, which I just bought. So that's a very interesting NFT projects. So definitely still big publishers and companies out there like Zynga coming in, and I think everyone's just waiting for the right time. Just biding the time, waiting for all these integrations to happen, which it is happening, right? With Circle and Coinbase running an actual bank. When things get easier, it's going to be like a rocket ship. We talk about the AI convergence, taking over everything. But once regulation, like we still don't have regulation. I was just on a
Yeah.
phone call with a friend yesterday. They just finalized regulation in El Salvador, which is the most crypto friendly, one of the most crypto friendly, and United States is still not there yet. So things are still early stage. I can't believe I'm saying this.
Can you give me a quick elevator pitch on the Sugartown TGE? I know you shared a link with the NFT project, but could you I understand where it's coming from, but can you tell me what the NFT is going to do and why it could be a good buy or maybe something people want to take a look at?
Yeah, it's almost like it's like a dynamic entity. It's going to change along with the games. So you get pre-access to the games. It amplifies your earning rewards in those games. So you can farm Sugartown games, which is Zynga, basically Zynga, right? If you guys ever play Words with Friends, Chess with Friends, like all these amazing games at Zynga's, they have poker online and like what is it? $80 billion was on Web3 casinos this last year. So you can climb the leaderboard for the TG events for Sugartown, which is great, right? But here's the whammy. You can also farm abstract alongside Sugartown. So it's like it's two for one. It's a twofer. And that they said that in their paper. They're like, you could farm abstract, because everything's on chain, everything has signature, and any abstract interactions count as, a metric that you can get XP on. So that's sort of the high level. We don't have the actual tokenomics yet. I need to dive deeper into that. But this is one of the things you shouldn't do. I instant minted it just because it's at Sugartown. Sugartown was one of the calls I made about 2 years ago and did really well on Ethereum. So I was just like instant mint. It was only like 110 bucks. And then I read the white paper. I was like, okay, I'm going backwards here. And I think I messaged that to you. But yeah, TGEs, I think, yeah, that's interesting that it's just so many of them now, with Zora and then now with Sugartown, alongside Abstract. It's gonna be interesting how it all, unfolds. I can't imagine. Hopefully it's a significant needle mover for me because I'm into a lot of NFTs on Abstract, but every one of them came out with, $100 million token, which is unfathomable. That'll be crazy. That'll be a crazy airdrop. And speaking about airdrops, Magic Eden's having another one. So there's a lot going on. Lots going on.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, and not in. I wanted you to call out that TGE event because we'll talk more about it offline. But you mentioned to me about you have access and maybe getting me one, and I was going
Yeah.
to look through the white paper instead of just aping into it. But you gave me a good enough pitch there that I think I just want to get one. We're always big fans of, we've talked with that team in the past, so we're always big fans of what they're doing. And you're right, there's a lot of TGE events in the world of NFTs and just integration at all. But one thing I want to call out in the last segment here, and I kind of slipped this in on our paper, Joe, is that we've seen some big movements in X copy sales over the last month. And X
Mm,
copy's one of the premier digital artists out there. If you're gonna make a Mount Rushmore, you got to put X copy on there, probably with the Beeples of the world.
yep.
These guys have been doing it before. It was cool. So it's nobody really knows who he is. It's just excellent, excellent art at the end of the day. And Ack, who is very close to X copy, and I'm showing the great color study on the screen right now because this is one of my favorite personal collections. This was a call that I made whenever I first came on the team a couple years ago, and it hasn't gone up a tremendous amount, but it is up since that call. But it's an art NFT at the end of the day. We're not gonna get token drop. We're not gonna get any TGE event due to this, but act sales have actually been increasing so much. So we're seeing this resurgence in art NFTs, which is a lot of fun because it makes a ton of sense for a lot of people out there. The reason I'm calling out the Great Color Study is Axe had some spectacular one of one sales, kind of following what X copies had over the past
Nice.
month or two. And I was curious. I was like, what's the Great Color Study showing as? And this was a free mint back in the day, kind of, and he's great garnered a pretty nice following. But as you can see, one thing people love in the art industry is collecting full sets, myself included. So owning one of these is great. I would highly recommend if anybody likes the art or likes act or the whole story, owning one of these are great. I did make it a goal like a couple years ago to get each individual one of these, and they're trading an individual one for 1 ETH. As you can see, Brick has 203 total, 398 for Stardust. That's why there's a pretty big price difference. So at the end of the day, it looks like Brick's the most rare at 203. There can only be 203 complete full sets of these eight, the Great Color Study. So it makes it very desirable and it's caused a nice little rush in this entire project. So I just wanted to call it out because not only are NFTs great for integrating with AI in these token drops, but then there's this art world that really kicked us off at the beginning of the bull run in 2020 and why the provenance of a lot of these make a lot of sense. And we're starting to see it pick up. And I'm starting to kind of hope that this is going to be start the resurgence of the NFT market at the end of the day.
Yeah, you talked about X copy, and I saw grifters just, Rocket, I would like to say. You own a grifter. I need to hear her story. Did you mint it? Did you get it free from a friend? But they've topped what, close to 1920 ETH. I don't know what its all-time high was, but it seems like they're moving.
Yeah, I bought a grifter. I tried minting it. I was extremely bullish on it. Couldn't mint it at the time. I think they minted around 5 or 6 Ethereum. I bought mine for a little bit under 10 ETH, I believe. And ETH wasn't expensive then either. It was right around $1,000. So I'm doing pretty good on that grifter sale. It's one of those NFTs that I don't think I'll ever sell unless I really need to. It's just something that, has a personal story attached to it. Only 666 grifters. One of the best ways for me to get exposure to X copy. So those are two of my. I have like three really favorite art NFTs, and it's the Grifter, Axe, Great Color Study, the full collection, and I do always in the background everything. I love the squiggles at the end of the day. I do think art NFTs that have the right provenance can continue to make a really strong run, even in a bear market. But look out if a bull market comes about.
Yeah, tell me about that grifter poster. You said you're gonna print out a physical with like, and you sent me one with like 300 faces of grifters on there. Is that
It,
a
it
NFT or is that a physical?
It's a physical. It's going to go in the background. Actually,
Ooh,
Xcopy sent a picture, and you could probably look through his tweets of all 666 grifters just as
nice.
a block. And I dropped it into AI, and I go, "Can you make this a high enough resolution to give me a 36 by 12?" And it converted it for me to this beautiful high resolution picture. Then I asked it to find me a affordable printer, and I think I got one printed for like 20 bucks and it's coming. So I'm gonna hang it up in the background. But it's all 666 grifters. I found mine on there, and it's about time to start showing off some of these NFTs we own. You do a great job of it. But I'm so proud of the grifter. I love the great color studies. I need to start showing them off to my normie friends that come over and check out my office and check out my house.
Definitely do. Wow, they're worth two pudgy penguins, man. Talked about,
Grifters?
doing good. Yeah, yeah, they're doing good.
I know. I've highly considered selling a grifter and taking some more ETH and buying a punk, but I haven't been able to pull that trigger yet. And then two pudgy penguins for one grifter seems like the pudgy penguin side of the deal is a hell of a deal with the abstract airdrop. But I'm attached to this grifter. I mean, heck, I just spent 20 bucks on a poster. Now I can never sell it. So
You don't have to sell it here. We'll do a backdoor deal, not backdoor deal. Uh, um, I'll loan you the Ethereum to get the pudgy, and then you can use the profits from the abstract airdrop to pay me the interest. Win-win. You get to keep your grifter, you get a pudgy. Heck, you might even get a free pudgy. Who knows?
Joe's NFTDeFiLoans.com. I'm signing up. As long as it's a safe and secure place, I'm in.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, no, yeah, that's something to think about. If I had a grifter, I might do that just for the TGA. Not financial advice, Brian.
It's actually not a bad idea. We might have to talk about that a little bit more offline. But Joe, as always, it's a great time doing these rundowns with you. It feels like a little bit more pep in our step this go around. We're still not out of the woods, but at least we found our trail back home.
Yeah, exciting times. I'm looking to buy a lot more.